Welcome to another episode of the Phase Knowledge Podcast. And today we're going to talk about the Super Bowl production. Yesterday was the Super Bowl. I learned so much just watching. But this year, I watch it from a different perspective. I watch it from a different lens, and I watch it from a different level of understanding. Production is so important. And I didn't recognize the importance of production until I just sat back and just noticed and identified the camera switches, the camera angles, the performance, the entertainers, like all these different things. Production matters, and we're gonna talk about what I learned from that, how I'm applied to my podcast production business. So I'm Terryl Humphrey. I'm the host of the Phase Knowledge Podcast, and what we're gonna talk about today is why production matters. So if you don't have your pen, if you don't have your notebook, or if you're just driving to work, just know this is gonna be an informative episode, live stream podcast, because one thing that I discovered, it's the power of production. The production makes the video more entertaining. The production makes the live stream more entertaining. The production makes the podcast more listenable or watchable. Why? Because people have to see different angles, different entertainments, different parts, different camera switches. I don't have that many cameras as the NFL. Nonetheless, the lessons that I've learned from that, we're going to talk about that today. So lesson number one, what we're going to talk about today, hold on, let me make sure that it's in the camera. For those of you that are on Instagram and TikTok, if you want to see the visual of what I'm showing, let me know in the comments, and then I'll put the link down below. Or just go to YouTube at Failures Knowledge. I digress. So, lesson number one, angles matter. Okay? And let me tell you why angles matter, because I give you a prime example. As my wife and I was watching the Super Bowl, I noticed like some things have always been there, but it's like now it's like, man, this is a new level of foundation, new level of understanding. There's a camera that's above the playing field that moves along the players, right? That moves alongside the players. And as I'm looking at it, I'm like, hold on, that's like ain't that kind of like a drone shot? Like a drone is like when you are flying something, you get a shot that's above the ground. And I'm like, wait, hold on. This whole entire time, they've had so many different angles and cameras, and like they switch back and forth. But the switching back and forth makes the sport entertaining, like makes Super Bowl more entertaining to watch. As we was watching it, I was like, oh, that is so subtle yet so impactful. Angles matter. Let's just say I have an angle right here, which I'm on TikTok. Then I have an angle right here, which I'm on Instagram. Then I have an angle right here, which I'm on all the other platforms. If I switch from angle number one, angle number two, angle number three, and I switch the production there improves because I have multiple different cameras. I have multiple different angles. Why is that important? In podcasting, if you have this right here is called different angles. This right here is called different angles. This one is called different angles. Why? Because you have to have so many different ways to watch a podcast. In addition to that, a podcast can be listened to and or watched. But it's the transitions, it's the switch, it's the visual image, it's the things that pop on screen. Like for instance, when I take this off a screen, that is a form of production. That is entertaining the audience. When I discovered the power of production, I recognize why production matters. Production matters because it keeps people's attention. And I remember I was going to USF, and when I was going to USF, I took this film class. And in the film class, they got to displaying like different cameras, different angles. I remember this one shot when it was like eye level, when there's just a regular conversation. If the person is taller than the person that's talking to him, it's kind of like, instead of it being eye level, the person that's taller will the camera will be looking up to them, and then the person that's shorter, the camera will be looking down to them. And when that subtle change taught me, like, I was like, man, I'm learning about production, but I didn't even know what production even was, but I was learning about film, production, movies, podcasts. Everything consists of angles. And when you have a perspective of someone talking up to someone, then someone talking down to someone, you get the visual image, you get the visual conversation. And I'm like, man, that it was so simple. Why not raise the camera to the point where you can match the conversation? But it's not necessarily just matching the conversation. It's for the viewers. It's for the audience. For the people that's not in this conversation. It's for people. It's for the audience. And when I start to learn why it's for the audience, because the audience makes it like, it blew my mind. It blew my mind. That subtle thing, that it was so simple, yet so profound, because the conversation, the audience, like the film, made it more entertaining. When I started to apply to my podcast production business, I'm like, all right, cool. If I got a guest, the camera does not need to be on me all the time. And so when I started to learn and watch other podcasts, they have multiple different cameras where they're switching. So I was like, all right, cool. I know I need to have multiple different cameras, but I at first when I was doing it, like I had 2 cameras, I had 2 microphones, and it was just hard. It wasn't necessarily hard, but it was really time consuming to have 2 cameras and like go towards the edit and combine the videos. And once I combine the videos, sync them is like matching them. And then once I match them, it's like, well, what the production, I didn't even recognize it's called production. I just was editing it. When I started to see the power of having multiple different cameras and multiple different perspectives, it gave me some type of like understanding. It gave me like confidence, like, man, I'm doing this right. I'm doing the thing that I'm trying to do. But it's not the fact that I was doing it wrong. It was that the angles was different. The 2 cameras that I had was there. It was positioned. Let's just say 3, since I have 3 drawn right here. And as a matter of fact, I'm gonna keep it simple. Let's remove one. Let's remove a camera. And yep, let's remove a camera. So we got 2 cameras. And with that, where I'm at. Hold on. All right. With that, let's just say person number 1, person number 2. This camera goes to that person, and this camera goes to that person. When I started to see the shift between the video and the production, I was like, oh man, this is life-changing. This is crazy. It's crazy because the angles are different. Just imagine this. In the Super Bowl 2026, New England Patriots versus Seattle Seahawks, shout out Seattle Seahawks, congrats to y'all. As I picture this, they're playing on the field. And if they playing on the field, they only have one camera, and the one camera only sees one side of the field. There's no camera switches, there's no angles, there's no anything. There's literally one camera. Would that be entertaining? Will it be entertaining to watch to the point where you can watch it for 60 minutes? In reality, it's longer than 60 minutes because you got timeouts, you got halftime, you got breaks, and so on and so forth. Nonetheless, in the Super Bowl, the angles that they have multiple different angles because it gives the audience multiple different perspectives. As the audience has multiple different perspectives, it becomes more entertaining. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm not the NFL. I don't have that many cameras. On the contrary, I have some cameras, and the cameras that I have can enhance my podcast, can enhance my production, can enhance the conversation. Why? Because it's multiple different perspectives. The perspectives that the camera angles give are something that people are interested in. And I was like, ooh, that's it. Why is that it? That's it, because production matters. It matters because it makes the video, conversation, live stream, podcast, anything around content or creating content, makes it more entertaining. Now, I know I'm on multiple different platforms, streaming on multiple different platforms, but just imagine if you can't necessarily hear the stories, see the perspective, and like it will be really challenging. There's a big streamer. His name is Speed. He enhanced his production because, yes, he has a person that walks around with him with his camera. But check this out. He has a drone. He has a camera over top of him just showing everything that he's doing. Why is that important? People would like to see different perspectives. And when I started to notice that, I was like, ooh, they leveling up. They leveling up. They becoming different. Why? Because production matters. Hold on. Let me go ahead. Let me go. Production matters. And it matters because it keeps attention. So that's the next point I want to hit on, is that point number 2 is that it keeps attention. But why? Why does it keep attention? It keeps attention because people are paying attention, and even though the movements are subtle, it's subtle, but it's engaging. It keeps attention because it's engaging. Hold on. Let me come back to it. Keeps attention, and then right underneath it, it's engaging. It's engaging. Engaging who? Hold on. Parentheses, the audience. Like many of you, I watched the Super Bowl from home. And like many of you, the Super Bowl was entertaining. Like many of you, my wife and I was in the living room watching the game on the couch. Why is that important? Because the production of the Super Bowl was for the people at home, was for the people who can't necessarily see it in person, because the in-person have a different perspective, because yes, they have a big screen. My wife and I went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game, shout out to them, and you can see the game being played on the big screen. It's kind of like they're watching TV at home, but they're at their stadium, they're in the environment, they're in the place, they're in the location, so you can see different angles. You can be in a part of the production, or not necessarily a part of it, but watch the entertainment. It's engaging. Excuse me. Because just imagine if you didn't have close access to the field, the production gives you access to see what's going on. Hold on. Let me go ahead and write this out. Hold on. It's engaging. Hold on, let me see. Make sure I'm doing this. Okay, it's engaging because perspective, or camera angles changes. And it's changing to keep the audience engaged. The reason why I wanted to share this video and wanted to come on and produce this podcast is because there's so many different things that I didn't know while getting into the podcasting space. Now that I know them, it's like, man, this is a secret. I don't want to keep no secret. I'm going to come out and give it to the people. The camera angles keep the audience engaged. When the audience are engaged, they are more entertained. And I'm learning how to be a better storyteller. I'm learning how to provide actionable steps. I'm learning how to be a better business owner. I'm learning how to have a podcast production company who helps thought leaders launch, edit, and manage their podcast. Why? Because production makes the video. The production makes the live. The production makes the podcast. See, when I got into the space I have a decade ago, I got into it without even knowing what I was doing. I'm thinking when I pick up my phone and record, I'm just recording, uploading on social media. And what I didn't recognize was that I was building something. I was learning something, and I was establishing something. What is this something? Because I said something 3 times. Oh, excuse me. What is this something? The something is learning how to use the phone, use what I have. As I use what I have, I start to get better, improve, enhance. Like I start to develop more. What I learned was that it's not just about recording a video. It's not just about uploading a video. It's not just about communicating to a camera. It's about learning the importance of production. Yes, you can record a video, but then when you record a podcast episode, now you have to edit the podcast. Now you have to make the video more entertaining because there's so many layers that goes behind production, yet the production of your podcast only comes when you intentionally focusing on it. The skills that you develop will help you improve your production. The skills that you develop will enhance your production. The lessons that you learn will improve your podcast production. You see, many of you can see a microphone, and as you are looking at the microphone, looking at the camera, looking at the phones, looking at the different setup, like, man, he got it going on. But before I figured it out, I was learning how to figure it out. Hold on. I wish my YouTube channel ain't got deleted, because if it didn't get deleted, I'll show you proof. But since I can't show you proof, I'm gonna tell you a little story. When I started back in a half a decade, I started with the goal. I started with like, man, I just want to record videos and help others. Helping others became the goal because I didn't know how to help others. And so when I started to cook, I was learning how to cook. I was learning how to put the camera angle down and not necessarily down, but have a different perspective. And then have the camera to where I'm cutting up vegetables. And then have the camera where I'm cooking up the food. And then have the camera where I'm preparing the food. And then have the camera where I'm eating the food. Hold on. Let me tell you something right quick. Production makes the video more engaging. As I discovered that I was learning a skill, and the skill was gonna go with me for the rest of my life, man, it gave me so much confidence. Why? Because it gave me permission to fail. It gave me permission to learn. It gave me permission to improve my production. Before I even discovered it was called production, I'm just like, man, I gotta record this video, and then I gotta edit this video. But see, here's the thing about editing. When you have so much footage, it has to come together in one video. In one video. Oh, excuse me. What's challenging about that? It has to be one video. It has to be entertaining. It has to be engaging, and it has to keep the attention of the audience. Perspective matters, because if you're watching that video from start to end, different moments inside of the video has to occur. Why? Because it has to engage the audience. And when I started to understand that my production mattered, I was like, man, this has to be the focus. It has to be the focus, because if it's not the focus, I'm not engaging the audience. Last point I want to talk about. Point number 3, is that you have to give yourself permission to fail. Now, oh, you can't even see this. Hold on. Now, excuse me. I know we was talking about the Super Bowl. Excuse me, golly. I know we was talking about the Super Bowl, and the Super Bowl was just recently, and they don't have time to fail. Like, they don't literally have no time to fail, because millions and millions and millions of people are watching the Super Bowl. But before the live game, or before the game actually starts, they have, based off what I see online and things of that nature, they have like practice runs. Why? Because you cannot fail on the big stage. Production cannot fail on the big stage. Not to say that it won't fail, but what I'm saying is that you have to give yourself permission to fail, especially if you're a new entrepreneur, you're a new leader, new thought leader, because you have to learn what you're doing. As you continue to learn what you are doing, you will eventually get better. But failure is not bad. Failure is something that you need. Failure is something that will make you better. How can you get better if you're not willing to fail? How can you get better if the failure that you have went through is bringing you down? Yet what I learned, because failure is knowledge, you have to really give yourself permission to fail. Because you're learning information that you never discovered before. You're learning new knowledge that's overwhelming, that's confusing. Like I give you a prime example. I'm in school for business management, and I just had a law class. There's some terminology in the book. In fact, there's a lot of terminology in the book that I do not know. And that's okay. When you go to the back of the book, look up the definitions, or go on Google, or read the context in the book, I start to get a better understanding of it. Like you, I struggle to understand what I'm doing and why production matters. That it doesn't matter how long you do it, it just matters that you start. Production matters because it engages the audience. And so when you give yourself permission to fail, check this out. You are using what you have. Why? Because as you use what you have, you getting better. When you use what you have, you're getting more smarter. When you use what you have, you are enhancing your production. Hold on. What is it that you have? Okay. Let's just see. Let me know in the comments if you have this. This right here is a phone. It doesn't matter if you have an iPhone. It doesn't matter if you have an Android. It doesn't matter anything. If you have a phone that has a camera, you have everything you need to start. You have everything you need to start. Why? Because today's time, everything is on the phone. Today's time, everything is on the phone. Why is that important? It's important because you can learn what you have. So that way, when you get new things, new equipment, you will eventually learn how to do it. I'll give you a prime example. When I started half a decade ago, I started with my phone. I didn't even have a tripod big enough to even look me in the eye. But I started with my phone. I started recording my phone, and I used iMovie on Apple, and I just got better. I just got good at it. I remember this one video that I have as my introduction, and it was yes, I'm home for yes, I am. You know what I mean? That song. And in that song, in the video, there was a green screen on there, and I'm like, man, this green screen would be cool. Let me put it in there. I put it in there. Yet I didn't know how to remove the green screen. The green screen was something is like a prop or something like that. And I'm like, well, how do you move it? I don't know how to remove it. But I didn't let that stop me. I accepted the failure and I learned how to use the tools that I had. Eventually, I learned how to remove the green screen on the video. Why is it important? That's important because when you give yourself permission to fail, you're giving yourself permission to learn. And as I learned that it seemed like a difficult skill, a complex skill. In reality, it's like you hit a setting and you it's so simple I can't explain it, but if it's so simple, I should be able to explain it. It's kind of like when you hit a button and you drag it, and then now the green screen is gone. Like, well, how do you do that? It blew my mind that it took not a lot of time to figure that out. Here's why this is important, okay? Here's why production is. Here's why podcast. Here's why production matters for your business and how to start really working with it. It matters because it engages the audience, and as it engages the audience, you have to give yourself permission to fail, to learn, to grow, to establish, to enhance, and do all these different things because you're not going to figure out your first video. In fact, you're not going to figure out your 100th video. I've produced over 893 podcast episodes, and it was based off me learning the skills. Every video was a build on top of the next one, and I just got better. I just got a lot better. And so you get better. And when you get better, you have to recognize that your production of your podcast or your content or anything matters. Why does it matter? Because it engages the audience. So in conclusion, so what we just talk about the angles. If you have a podcast, if you have content, film, whatever case it is, the angles of your video, your film, or your live matters. It matters so much because it gives people different perspectives. The next point that we talked about is that it keeps people attention. It keeps people attention because it's engaging, and they are able to see different perspectives, different angles, different levels of entertainment. Like it keeps the audience attention. And when you do that, last thing we talk about is that you have to give yourself permission to fail. Failure is not bad. Failure is knowledge because you are able to grow within yourself because every day you have something to learn. So production matters because it engages the audience. It's more entertaining, and people have a different perspective to watch your live stream, podcast, videos, so on and so forth. So I wanted to come on and say that I learned a lot from the Super Bowl based on watching the production side. Yes, the game was good; it was phenomenal, but the production made the game even better because of the intentionality behind. Focuses on give me different perspectives for the audience, for the game, for the people that's attending it. And so never be afraid to fail because you are one failure away from changing your life. Hit that follow, hit that subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time. I appreciate y'all.